The wind howled like a monster tearing through the sky. Trees bent and snapped. The world was breaking apart. Black clouds churned over the land, hiding the sun like a thick, angry blanket. Dust, rain, and debris slammed into the earth with the force of bullets. He ran. His name was Caleb, just a man with a worn-out backpack, cracked comms device, and bruises on his arms. He had been traveling for weeks, moving from ruined village to ruined station, searching for higher ground. But the storm had grown faster than the report said. He didn't trust the maps anymore, or the government broadcasts. They always said, "You have time." But no one ever really had time when the sky opened up. Behind him, the trees were vanishing, sucked into the storm wall like paper. The ground shook with each gust. Caleb stumbled over a root, fell hard, then got up with blood on his palms. No time to cry. No time to stop. The jungle was thick here. Wild. Nature untouched for hundreds of years. Somewhere in Sector D13, he didn't even know if humans had lived here recently. He only knew one thing survive. Lightning tore through the sky. A massive branch landed just feet from his back. He didn't turn around. He couldn't. His boots hit soft mud, thorns ripped at his pants. His breath came fast. Too fast. He was going to die in this storm. But then, as he rounded a jagged boulder, something odd appeared. The rock had lines, clean straight lines. Caleb stopped, looked closer. It wasn't a rock. It was metal, covered in moss. A large square door, half buried under vines and dirt. Old, but not rusted. Not even scratched. His hand trembled as he reached out. Clank, the door slid open with a smooth hiss, revealing a dark hole that led down a tunnel. The air from inside rushed past, him dry, clean, almost warm, but it smelled like nothing. No rot, no mold. No life. Behind him, the storm roared louder. Trees cracked like bones. The wind howled like it wanted to swallow him. He didn't hesitate. Caleb jumped in. The door slammed shut above silence. His ears rang, his heart pounded, and his breath echoed. In the narrow space, he stood in total darkness. Then slowly he reached into his backpack and pulled out a tiny flashlight. Flickered it on. The light shook in his hand. The walls were smooth, carved stone, and some strange metal. There were symbols on them, not human writing, glowing in faint red lines. The hallway went down, further and further, in slow curves. He moved forward step by step. Each footstep echoed like thunder in the stillness. The deeper he went, the stranger it felt. Like the place wasn't empty, like someone or something was holding its breath. He stopped when he reached a wide circular room. The floor was covered in dustless tiles. In the center was a low platform. On it lay a shape, large, still covered. In what looked like armor, but organic, alive. Caleb took a step closer. That's when it happened. A breath, a low, deep inhale, not from his own chest. Then a whisper, "You opened it." Caleb froze. His light trembled. The shape on the platform sat up slowly. Its eyes opened, glowing pale silver. The voice came again. Deeper this time, calm, hungry. "My fast ends today." Caleb couldn't move, couldn't blink. The storm had been chasing him to kill him. But now, something worse had found him, something that had waited, and it wasn't human. The torchlight trembled in Caleb's hand, not because of the storm anymore, because of the thing that had just spoken. It was massive, easily, over 7 feet tall, its skin a dull gray, with strange veins of light running beneath the surface, like circuits under flesh. It sat still, upright on the platform, head tilted slightly, silver eyes glowing faintly like moons in a midnight pool. Its voice echoed through the bunker again, low and deliberate. "You open the seal. That means your kind still walks the surface." Caleb didn't answer. Couldn't. His mouth had gone dry. His heart beat against his ribs like a fist pounding on a locked door. The creature sniffed once, just the air between them, and let out a sigh, slow and long, as if savoring. The scent of a meal not tasted in centuries. "I smell war on you," it said. "Loss, betrayal, regret. Good. You bring flavor." Caleb finally found his voice, shaky but clear. "What are you?" The creature did not move. "I am hunger." His stomach dropped. Caleb took a step back, slowly trying to judge the distance. To the hallway behind him? But the door he came through had vanished into seamless wall. There was no exit, no control panel. Just stone, like it had never been there. "This is a feeding chamber," the creature continued. "Long ago, I was sealed in darkness with a vow that I would not eat until a human unlocked my cell.
Add one of the other species.
Only your kind of suffering." "What do you mean eat?" Caleb asked, keeping his light aimed at its chest. His hand was already sliding into his bag for the emergency blade. "Not that it would matter," the creature chuckled, a soft, warm sound that didn't match its form. "Not your bones, not your skin. You're thinking too small. Feed on memory. Emotion. The residue of choices that keep you awake at night. What others run from I consume." Caleb's voice sharpened. "Then go find a library." The being laughed, sharper this time, amused. It stood to its full height. Its body cracked slightly like old stone, stretching after centuries of sleep. Even in the dim glow, Caleb could see the elegance in its form, like a statue carved by a forgotten god, both terrifying and beautiful. Each step it took echoed around the walls, but it didn't move fast. It approached like a teacher walking toward a child. "You think I chose to wait?" it asked. "Your kind locked me here? It's fed me criminals? Murderers. Then rebels. Then innocent voices who simply thought differently. Each generation, your kind forgot a little more, till even the guilt vanished. And with a tear sent, I nearly starved. It was only a few feet away now, but now, here you are. One with enough." Caleb pulled the knife, blade up. "Try it. I promise I'll make you regret it." The creature tilted its head again, then smiled, not cruel, not mocking. Almost. "Gentle. You misunderstand. Feeding is not violence. It is exchange. You offer memory. I offer shelter, safety. I can shield you from the storm. From the cold, and in return I taste what you try to bury." The light flickered. Caleb's blade trembled in his hand. He didn't know what to believe. The thing hadn't attacked. It hadn't even moved quickly, but something about the calm, steady way it talked it made every word feel like a truth he didn't want to hear. "You've lost someone," the creature said, voice lower now. "A brother. No. A friend you couldn't save. You left him behind. Every night since, you wish you could forget, but you won't. That's the kind of wound I survive on." Caleb's grip faltered. It knew. He saw Flash's dirt fire. A man bleeding out under enemy fire. Caleb had run that day, not for himself, for the mission, but the guilt never left. The creature sat back down on the stone platform, eyes still glowing. "You can stay here. The storm won't reach you. No sickness, no hunger. You'll sleep, you'll heal, and I will feed." Caleb wanted to scream. He wanted to throw the light and run through the wall if he had to. But part of him, some deep part, wanted to accept. "Why me?" he whispered. "Because you feel everything," the creature answered. "And the ones who feel the most are always the most delicious." It closed its eyes and went still. Caleb remained frozen in the room, torchlight dimming as the battery wore down, heart racing louder than the winds above. And somewhere in that bunker, something ancient licked its lips. It's not out of hunger, but patience. Because it knew Caleb would stay, and when he finally slept, the real feast would begin. Caleb didn't sleep. He sat with his back against the cold wall, the torch burning low in his hand, watching the creature from across the room. It hadn't moved in hours. Its glowing eyes had closed. Its breathing had slowed. If he didn't know better, he'd think it was a statue again. But he did know better. The words still echoed in his mind. "I smell war on you. You bring flavor. I feed on memory." The air inside the bunker felt thick now. It's not hot or cold, just heavy, like it was pressing down on his thoughts. It's like it wanted him to remember. He blinked and saw it again. Alley in Sector 9. Flames all around. Civilians screaming. His squad leader down, blood pumping from his neck. Caleb had pulled him halfway to cover. Then the enemy fire started again. And he'd made the call drop him run. Survive, he'd survived, the other man didn't. He shook the image away, blinking hard. This wasn't the time for ghosts. Not now. Not in front of that thing. Caleb stood slowly. Flashlight buzzed. Once, then died. Total darkness swallowed the chamber. Only the soft silver glow from the creature's veins and faint lines along the walls gave shape to the silence. Is this part of it? He whispered aloud. Some kind of trick? The creature didn't open its eyes, but its voice came clear and calm. No trick. Just time. Time for what? For you to realize I don't need to force anything. You humans carry your own pain like lanterns. I just wait for you to burn. Caleb cursed under his breath and turned toward the exit again, only to find the same smooth wall. No seams. No buttons. It was like the bunker itself had sealed him in. I'm not your prisoner, he said. You're not, the voice replied. You're your own jailer. Caleb paced now, running a hand through his damp hair. His body was tired, but adrenaline still pumped through him. The storm above had likely buried the entrance by now. Maybe no one would ever find this place. Again, the creature stirred. I waited for 112 years, it said suddenly, standing tall again. Your kind built this place to contain me, not because I was dangerous, but because I refused to become what they wanted. Caleb turned, eyes narrowed. You mean a weapon? It nodded. I was created during your last expansion war. Groan. In a vat engineered to absorb the pain of others and use it to power energy weapons, projected bursts of trauma turned into light and fire. But I chose not to kill. You refused orders? I refused purpose. So they locked me away, hoping my hunger would kill me or drive me mad. Caleb watched it now with fear, but something else. Curiosity. This thing had been down here longer than his country had existed, maybe longer than the current government's. You were meant to be a living weapon, Caleb said slowly. But instead, they made you a prisoner. Not prisoner, the creature replied. Guardian. My creators did not understand some things grow stronger when they wait. I learned patience and silence, and the weight of humanity's sins. Silver eyes opened again and fixed on him. And now you come to me, full of your own sins. It's running not just from the storm, but from yourself. Caleb stepped closer, despite himself. Why me? He asked again. You bled on the gate, the creature said. That blood unlocked the seal, but the match wasn't just physical. It was emotional. The code isn't in your DNA, it's in your grief. Caleb felt his knees weaken a little. Then what happens now? The creature walked toward the center of the room, where the platform rested. You choose, it said. You can stay. Give me what you no longer want to carry. Let me take your nightmares, your guilt, your shame. In return, I give you warmth, rest, protection. Or Caleb held his breath. Or you hold on to it, you live with it, you fight it, and you find your own way out, if you can. What if I want both? Caleb asked. To survive and remember? The creature tilted its head. For the first time, it looked almost impressed that it said, would make you the first human I've ever met who wanted to carry his own burden by choice. Caleb didn't answer right away. He moved to the edge of the room and sat again, this time without leaning against the wall, just thinking, listening to the silence. Then, after a long pause, he spoke softly. Maybe you're not the only one who waited down here too long. The creature said nothing, but in the darkness, its glowing veins pulsed soft and steady. It was waiting again, not to feed, but to see what Caleb would become. Caleb woke with a start, sweat clinging to his skin despite the cool stillness of the bunker. His head throbbed, and shadows danced at the edges of his vision. The creature was gone, or at least out of sight. Yet the weight of its presence lingered like a thick fog in the air. He sat up, trying to steady his breathing. The memories it had stirred still clawed inside his mind. The battlefield, the screams, the man he'd left behind. That pain felt different now, sharper, but strangely less heavy, as if something had touched it and whispered, "You don't carry this alone anymore." Caleb stumbled to his feet and moved toward the room's center, where faint light shimmered from. Alien symbols on the walls. His fingers brushed against the cool stone, and suddenly the air-shifted warmth seeped into his bones, and the darkness seemed less threatening. Then the creature stepped from the shadows, its eyes glowing softer. Less fierce, it no longer looked like a predator, but a patient sentinel, waiting for Caleb's next move. "You carry too much," it said quietly, voice like a low hum. "Let me help you." Caleb hesitated. Trust wasn't easy, not after everything he'd seen, every scar hidden beneath his skin. Yet the promise of relief, of rest, pulled at him stronger than fear. "Show me," he whispered. The creature extended a long, graceful hand. As Caleb took it, visions flooded his mind, faces of friends. Lost, battles fought, moments of hope and despair. Each memory shimmered like a flame, and as the creature touched them, Caleb felt their edges soften, the pain dull. "It is not erasing," the creature explained, "but sharing, carrying together." Caleb's chest tightened. For the first time in years, tears came not from weakness, but release. Outside, the storm still raged, but inside the bunker, something new was growing, a fragile thread of trust between a man and a being that had waited centuries for this moment. Together, they sat in silence, two souls bound by pain and hope, ready to face whatever the world beyond the bunker would bring. Caleb had hoped the calm inside the bunker would last. But peace was a fragile thing, especially in a place built for waiting and hunger. The silence shattered, suddenly a grinding sound deep within the walls, like iron scraping stone. The air shifted, colder now, and the soft glow that had warmed the chamber flickered. Casting jagged shadows across the rough walls, the creature stirred, its eyes snapping open like lightning cutting through a dark sky. No longer gentle, its gaze burned, fierce and wild. Caleb's heart slammed against his ribs as the being rose with a speed that surprised him. "The storm outside is nothing compared to what stirs in me now," it growled, voice thick with hunger and anger. "My fast is broken, but my hunger is not sated. I must feed, or I will become the monster they feared." Caleb's mind raced. The creature had promised shelter and rest, but now that promise twisted into a threat. He knew the hunger was not just for memories anymore. Something darker had awakened. He gripped the emergency blade tighter. "I won't be your victim." The creature's lips curled into a grim smile. "You misunderstand. Feeding is survival. It is ritual. I must consume the pain you offer, or I lose myself to the void." Suddenly, the bunker shook as if the earth itself rebelled. Dust rained from the ceiling. The sealed door behind Caleb vibrated but stayed shut. They were trapped. In that moment, Caleb understood this was no longer a shelter. It was a crucible. Creature lunged, but instead of attack, it paused. Its glowing eyes searching his face for something: defiance, fear, or acceptance. "Feed me," it commanded. "Give me your burden. Let us both survive." Caleb closed his eyes, memories flooding his mind, the faces of those he lost, the pain he buried deep. With trembling hands, he reached into himself and offered all he could bear. The creature's eyes softened, and as it began to feed, a strange peace fell over the chamber. The hunger did not consume Caleb, it transformed him. Outside, the storm began to wane, but inside, a new bond was forged, one of pain, survival, and a hope neither had dared to feel in centuries. Caleb stood in the center of the dim chamber, the air thick with a strange tension that made his skin crawl. The creature's glowing eyes locked onto him, intense and unreadable, as if it was weighing every ounce of his soul. The hunger within it had shifted from raw desperation to a solemn demand. This feeding was more than survival. It was a ritual. Bound by ancient law and dark necessity, the room seemed to pulse with life. The alien symbols on the walls flaring faintly as if responding to the creature's need. Caleb's heart hammered not from fear, but from a rising sense of destiny he couldn't deny. Here, in this forgotten bunker, two beings from different worlds were about to become forever linked. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Memories. Surged faces lost to time. Battles fought in shadows, wounds buried deep in his mind. The weight of them pressed down like a crushing tide, but he welcomed it, stepped forward, arms open, as if offering himself entirely. The creature moved, toward him with grace, every step deliberate. Its hands, rough yet gentle, reached out and touched Caleb's temples. A wave of warmth exploded behind his eyes, and suddenly he was drowning in memories, not just his own, but fragments of ancient wars and forgotten pain. Carried through centuries, Caleb's body trembled as the creature absorbed his sorrow, weaving it into its own being. It was no mere feeding, it was a transformation. Pain melded with strength, loss fused with hope. When the creature finally released him, its form shimmered less monstrous, more human in shape, yet still otherworldly. It looked at Caleb with something almost like reverence. "We are bound now," it said softly. "Your pain fuels me. My strength protects you." Outside, the storm had passed, leaving a quiet that felt new and strange. Inside the bunker, a new chapter began, one where survival was no longer just about running or hiding, but about facing the darkness together. The air inside the bunker shifted again, but this time it was different. No longer heavy with hunger or silence, it vibrated with quiet purpose, like the calm before a dawn long awaited. Caleb stood side by side with the creature, no longer a monstrous stranger, but an ally forged from pain and trust. Outside, the storm had finally spent its fury. The raging winds had faded into distant echoes, and sunlight, soft and golden, seeped through cracks in the bunker's ancient walls. It was a new day, a fragile one, but a day nonetheless. The creature's glowing veins pulsed gently, casting patterns of light across the stone. It spoke, voice calm and sure. "The others will awaken soon. 12 like me, scattered across your world, bound by ancient chains. Your kind thought to bury us, to silence the power we hold. But now the seals weaken." Caleb nodded, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. This was bigger than survival, bigger than any storm. "You will help me find them," the creature said. "Together, we will face what comes next. Your pain has given me strength. My strength will protect your world." He looked down at his hands, still human, still flawed, but now carrying a new purpose. He was no longer running from the past or the storm. He was ready to stand, to fight, and to lead. The bunker's walls trembled, ancient mechanisms awakening. A hidden door slid open, revealing a path upward, toward the surface and the unknown beyond. Caleb took a deep breath. He stepped forward, the creature beside him. They emerged into a changed world, one where humanity was no longer alone. The winds had cleared, but a new storm brewed on the horizon, one that they would meet together, and as they walked into the light, Caleb knew this was only the beginning. The end, asterisk.